friends, it's Jessie here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. For today's video, we are going to be filling out my monthly overview for September. This is a printable that I designed for myself to give me an at-a-glance look at where we are starting out for each month. I do have this printable as well as all of my September printables available in my Etsy shop if you're interested in having a similar setup. I just print my printables out on 28-pound paper, punch them, and keep them here in my big Happy Planner disc-bound system, and it works out really great for me. So for this worksheet, I'm going to be filling out just a couple of these areas here. Some of this stuff I like to keep private. Our overall debt numbers, my husband has requested that I not share with the internet, so you know, like how much we owe on our car and how much we owe on our camper. He just isn't thrilled with the idea of our exact debt numbers being out there for anyone in the world to be able to see. So I'm not going to fill this in, but typically what I do on the first of every month, which is today, I sit down, I write out each of the credit cards and loans that we have, all of the debt that we have essentially, in order from least to greatest, and I get a total. And I just like to see that total amount of debt go down month to month to month. So if I flip back and look at January, I will be able to see that that total was much higher than it is now, and it just helps to keep me on track. It helps me to keep an eye on if our balances go up, if we use our credit cards for things. We are not anti-credit card. We do still use credit cards, even though we're actively trying to pay those cards off. Our main goal with paying off our debt is both to free up some money for our typical monthly expenses, also raise our credit score so that we can buy a home someday, and just be in a better financial position. But we are definitely not above using a credit card. We believe in loans and financing things. We're never going to be the type of people to pay absolutely everything in cash. I'm not going to try to buy a home in cash. I'm not going to necessarily buy all my cars in cash. If we have a big project around the house, we are not above swiping a credit card and making a plan to pay that off in increments. But regardless, I like to keep track of my debt on the first of every month just to kind of see how I'm doing, where I'm at with my goals. So that's typically what I would do. Again, I'm not going to do that on camera. I will do that once I turn the camera off because my husband doesn't want me to share that. I also write out my monthly goals. This is something we will do together. I'm going to share my goals for the month. I also, on the first of every month, go into Credit Karma to get my credit score. Now, I know that Credit Karma is not super accurate in terms of what your actual credit score is. I'm not really worried about it being super accurate. What I am worried about is comparing the number month to month, seeing the trends, seeing whether my credit score goes up or down. That ties in here with the debt amount to see how I'm doing with my goals. I love going in every month and seeing the progress that I made and what it did to my credit score, even if the credit score itself isn't super accurate. So what I will typically do, and I'll go ahead and write this in, I'm not going to write the actual credit scores in, because again, that's something my husband doesn't want me to share. If it were up to me, I totally would. And I don't know if there's any danger in sharing what your credit score is in terms of like identity theft or anything, but typically what I do then is I just write my name, I'll write TransUnion, and Equifax or however you say that, and then I will just write in the values on the first of the month that Credit Karma gives me, and then I do the same with my husband's credit score. I just have him look up what his is, and we like just to see what the trends are. What did paying off that amount of debt in August do for our credit score? Our credit score has gone up a ton since we started our debt-free journey. I think that my credit score when I first started was somewhere in like the 600 range, and now it's significantly higher than that. So overall, I just like to keep track of it month to month and watch the trends. This notes section, I like to write in anything that I know is going to affect my budget for the month. So we'll go ahead and write these in together, and then we'll go back up here to goals. So under the notes section, I just write in anything that I know is coming up in the month that's going to affect my budget. In the case of September, I know that we have pay to play for soccer that's due in September. So that is something I need to keep in mind when I'm doing my budgets. And it's definitely something that will, affect us. Just soccer season in general. My youngest son is playing soccer for the first time on a school team. So we'll be going to games, and of course with games comes concession stands and ticket prices and all of that. So that's obviously something we haven't had to consider previously. So it's something we need to keep in mind for September. I did zoom you guys in a little bit so you could see. We have Labor Day in September, which not only is going to push one of my husband's paychecks back a day. Typically my husband gets paid on Tuesdays, but because the bank isn't going to be open on Monday, they won't be able to call in payroll and have that all done until the following day. So that's going to push his paycheck back a day. So that's going to affect us. But also we have a big camping trip over Labor Day weekend that's going to cost us a little bit extra for food and travel expenses, that sort of thing. So that's definitely going to affect the budget. Back to school is happening in September, and that's going to definitely not only affect our budget, but our routine in general. One good thing that I just found out is that my son's school is going to be doing free breakfast and lunch for every single student enrolled at the school, which is so exciting. That's going to save us a ton in terms of either paying for lunches or packing lunches. So that's really, really good news. I'm very excited about that. But with back to school comes lots of expenses, fundraising and field trips, and I don't know how much of that they're going to be doing with the COVID-19 restrictions still, but definitely something to think about. School pictures will be happening. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and write that in as a separate thing that's going to affect our budget, because we definitely are going to want to buy school pictures, and then there will be yearbook pre-orders and all of those things that come with the first month of school. You guys know what I'm talking about if you have school-age children. Another thing I would write in here is if we were celebrating any birthdays. I do have some birthdays in September, but nothing that's going to really affect my budget. So I think that's everything that's going to affect us here. I will also use this notes section a lot of times to write in any major changes that I made to the budget. So I did make changes to my sinking funds. I can go ahead and write that in just so that I can easily at a glance see when I'm looking back at this what worked, what didn't, that sort of thing. And I also, changes to sinking changes. See, this is what happens when I try to write and talk at the same time. And this is why I typically use erasable pen. You guys, I still have not ordered more erasable pens. I don't know why or what I'm waiting for. I have lots of pens, but all my erasable black pens have run out of ink. So changes to sinking funds, and then anything else throughout the month I'll go ahead and write in here. I do have a whole notes page here that I can write in that sort of thing as well. Lots of places for notes in my printables here. So that's everything with the exception of my goals. So let's go ahead and talk about what my goals are for September, because I do have some pretty big goals. Number one, my main goal every single month is to track my expenses. I find that I am so much better about our spending if I am tracking absolutely everything, especially if I can do it in real time, like the day of or the next day that the spending happens. If I can write it down, it helps me to stick closer to my budget and kind of reel in my spending when I know that I've had a day or two in a row where I've kind of been off the rails. Writing it down helps me kind of zip everything back up and get back on track. So it's really, really important to track your expenses. And so that's my number one financial goal every single month. The next goal I have for September is to spend less on eating out. I'm going to be raising my food budget. Let me just finish writing this so I'm not making any more silly mistakes. I'm going to be raising my food budget for September because grocery prices have gone up and I need to help reflect that in my budget. But I'm also going to try to focus on eating out less often or choosing more affordable options for eating out. In general, with us being back to school, back on track with our routines, and with the weather hopefully cooling down, we will be eating out less naturally anyway. In the summer, we kind of go hog wild. It's so hot, nobody wants to turn on the oven. We're out and about doing fun things, so we might as well grab something to eat. So in general, I think September will be better just naturally, but I want to put in some effort to spend less on eating out and focus more on healthy, nutritious, whole foods here at home, so that, we can just keep our budget zipped up in terms of food. With that, of course, is also meal planning and meal prepping. That goes kind of hand in hand with eating out less and keeping our grocery budget in check. I think I'm going to try out $2.50 a week for groceries and eating out. We'll see how that goes. I can always change it as we go throughout the month, but that is another goal of mine, to really focus on meal planning and prepping things ahead of time so that we're not tempted to eat out. I also want to tighten up my personal spending. I've been going over budget recently. Just a few dollars here or there, but it adds up. So I want to tighten up my personal spending. I'm also thinking about rolling my cash envelopes over week to week rather than getting to the end of the week and then just taking the money and either paying it towards debt or depositing it into my account. If I roll it over, then if I have a week where I don't spend a lot, then I'll have some money left over to take into the next week. So if I have a week where I want to spend a little bit more, I have that option. Something I'm thinking about. The great thing about personal finance is you can change your mind, you can change things up. So that's what I'm thinking about trying in September. So tighten up my personal spending. I'm running out of space here, so we'll just go down to the next line. Sorry about that, friends. I just got interrupted. My son just got home from work and he stopped in to say hi. So as I was saying, I'm going to be working on the Pirate Booty Savings Challenge. That's something I mentioned in a previous video. It's a savings challenge from my friend Marlene over at Snow Gardener 307 that I'm going to be using to help me collect money throughout the month to pay towards our overspending that happened in August. So it's a big goal of mine to make sure I'm saving up that money so that I have it to pay off that overspending. The next thing is, as I mentioned, my son's starting soccer. There's other activities and things that we were going to be doing with the start of the school year, and I just want to make sure that I'm not letting those things totally derail my budget. I want to keep our activities, make our activities fit the budget. So, there's going to be situations, like I said, with concession stands and ticket prices and things like that. I just want to make sure we're not overdoing it. We really like to support the school and the teams and things, so with fundraisers we tend to go a little bit overboard. So make activities fit the budget. And I think you guys know what I mean. Like, we don't have to donate to every single 50-50. We don't have to buy 50-50 tickets every single time. We don't have to get concession stand snacks at every game, even though that money does help support the club. that's kind of what I mean by that. Like, still do all of the things we like to do, but keeping it balanced and under control, not going overboard. And lastly, I want to do 15 no spend days. Days where I do not spend from my cash envelopes. Just, you know, have some days where I'm not spending money. I'm a big shopper. I like to spend money. I like to be involved in things and donate to things and support my friends here on YouTube. And there's lots of ways that I could spend money. I want to make sure that I'm having days where I don't, because that helps keep our overall spending down and helps us to meet our financial goals. So that's it, friends. I hope that you enjoyed this video, just kind of a quick rundown of my monthly overview page and kind of how I use it. I've gotten some questions about how I use this page, so hopefully that answers those questions. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I post new budgeting and lifestyle content here on my channel every single week. I'd love to have you come back. Make sure you check out Etsy for my printables if you're interested in them, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!